2 brush fires breaking out in San Diego County, one near Fashion Valley, prompting evacuations this afternoon. Another overnight, driven by winds scorching 80 acres in the Bonsall area.
The big plane was going around going, woo, woo, and we looked out and there were flames everywhere.
Dozens forced to flee their homes in the middle of the night. Firefighters working quickly against dry, gusty conditions, protecting people and their homes.
I'm just glad that we're here and we're safe.
ABC 10 News at 4 starts now. Welcome to ABC 10 News at 4. I'm Marie Cornell in for Lindsay Pena. I'm here at Riverview Evangelical Free Church in Bonsall. It's a temporary evacuation point for those impacted by the Lilac fire, which broke out overnight. That fire scorched 80 acres and is at least 30% contained. Rachel Bianco will have a live report with an update in just a few minutes. But first, a scare near Fashion Valley. This brush fire prompted evacuations just before noon as it moved quickly up a hillside towards homes. The forward rate of spread has been stopped and firefighters are mopping up. It burned 3 acres according to San Diego Fire. We begin our team coverage.
I'm Austin Grabish, live outside Fashion Valley, where people have been forced from their apartment buildings, and firefighters are still working to contain hot spots on that fire that broke out earlier this afternoon. Now, all of this here led to a very tense afternoon for residents living in the apartment buildings where this fire was coming very close to. When we got here, we met 2 guys who were at home across the street when they started to hear a fire alarm go off, and they tell me that they didn't think much of it at first because there's been fire alarm testing happening this week, but then they looked outside and saw orange flames followed by a loud explosion. Now, those residents believe a power line ended up exploding and they ran to get their cat and then raced outside here to the mall parking lot. Now, I just talked to SDG&E. They do confirm that some of their power lines tripped after this fire started. They say they were not aware of any outages or issues before this fire started, but that their power lines did trip. So what the residents told us does match up with what SDG&E is now confirming this hour. Now, I want you to take a listen to one of the residents we spoke to who told us just what he went through. His name is Halim Hamed, and he just recounts the scary afternoon he had.
We heard the fire alarm went off. I didn't think much of it, but then I looked at my window, I saw smoke. So I was like, oh, this doesn't look like a drill. We went out, we saw the fire, and then that's when the power line exploded. I took a video right after the power line exploded. And then my first instinct was, let's just get what we can out and leave and see what happens.
And back out here outside Fashion Valley Mall, roads are closed and traffic is being rerouted. Firefighters, meanwhile, behind me are still working on putting out the hot spots. Reporting live from Fashion Valley, Austin Grabish, ABC 10 News.
I'm Perla Shaheen near the Fashion Valley Mall. We've been here since that fire broke out just a few hours ago here on Friars Road, and I watched as the flames engulfed this hillside behind me, getting really close to these apartment complexes. But thankfully, fire teams worked fast to put out the flames. You can see the hillside covered in black ash, and all the way on the left over here, a power line, a power pole still smoking. I know fire teams told us that the power lines started to spark at the beginning of the fire, which could have caused it to continue to spread. Here's some video from the start of it all at around 12 p.m. The fire spread across 3 acres, the heat rising, pulling the flames closer to that apartment complex at the top of the hill. San Diego Fire says 1 apartment got damaged by the heat, and one woman told me she smelled the smoke and then saw the fire outside her window.
Then I opened my front door and I saw, like, right in my periphery, all those flames. And I was like, oh my God, we have to go right now. So I just grabbed my keys, my wallet, and my dog.
A lot of people rushing out with their pets. In this video, you can see one man carrying his golden doodle out as fast as he can, running down those steps. We got some incredible video of a group of men who rushed inside the complex to carry out an older woman in a wheelchair, inhaling smoke and ash to get her to safety on the sidewalk. one of the men even collapsing from exhaustion, but someone else joins to continue bringing the woman to safety, really showing how the goodness of our neighbors can shine through in these scary moments. Friends of that man and woman tell me that they are okay, but San Diego Fire tells me that one firefighter and one resident was transported to the hospital with minor injuries. Live in Mission Valley, Perla Shaheen, ABC 10 News.
I'm ABC 10 News reporter Rachel Bianco live in Bonsall, just outside the Riverview Church, where the Red Cross has been here all day for evacuees who may need a place to go while they wait to return to their homes. But it was a terrifying and long night for hundreds of people. The fire erupted shortly after midnight off Lilac Road near Old Highway 395. The fire quickly tore through the steep and rocky terrain. Strong Santa Ana winds and bone-dry brush quickly consumed roughly 85 acres. Hundreds of people forced to evacuate. Two other smaller brush fires were also burning around the same time. Firefighters from across the region and as far north as Canada were in the area and able to help with the firefight. They battled the fire from the ground and the air with two water-dropping Black Hawk helicopters. That made the difference, and by about 9:30 this morning, the fire was no longer spreading. Right now, it is at least 30% contained. Only two homes had some minor damage. We talked to one man who evacuated with his dog and cat. He was exhausted and ready to go home.
All of a sudden, I heard this alarm go off on my phone, and I answered it, or looked at it, and it said evacuate emergency brush fire. I guess maybe I just wasn't awake. And I just went back to sleep. And I went outside and I looked over the ridge and the flames were 60, 70 feet high.
And many of these people have been through this before during the other Lilac fire, which was back in 2017. Now the Red Cross, nobody is here, but they say that the volunteers will stay here until they're given the all clear and people are told that they can return to their homes. Reporting live in Bonsall, Rachel Bianco, ABC 10 News.
And a huge shout out to the firefighters overnight last night. I mean, there were winds of 40 miles per hour. I was certain that I was going to wake up this morning and those fires were going to be out of control. So huge shout out to our firefighters. All right, I want to give you a view from Sky 10. You can see this huge black column of smoke. This is a fire that is burning in Mexico. CAL FIRE is aware of it. As of right now, they are not responding as it does not pose a threat to California or San Diego. I'll tell you, Sky 10 is really zoomed in right now. When they was zoomed out, you could actually see the border, and it's actually a pretty good distance across the border, but we will keep our eyes on that as we head through the rest of the newscast. All right, the Friars fire conditions. I was actually in Mission Valley when this fire broke out. So much black smoke, but the winds were calm, and our firefighters jumped on that so quickly. The winds are still pretty calm. In fact, we have a little bit of a sea breeze returning there. Not calm. Strongest wind gust ever reported in San Diego on record, 105 miles per hour. We were just shy of that. I showed you this number last night at 11 o'clock, 102 peak wind gust. But even in Escondido, we saw a gust up to 50. And what you're looking at here is the lowest relative to humidity, widespread 1 to 2%. That is exceptional. It is so dry, and our extreme and our elevated and critical fire threat continues into tomorrow. I'll be pinpointing another round of Santa Ana winds and that red flag warning that's been extended in your full forecast.
Evacuations are lifted for a smaller brush fire that broke out in the Pala area early this morning. The Pala fire is fully contained and scorched 17 acres according to CAL FIRE. It broke out around 2:15 this morning west of Interstate 15 near Pala Mesa. The cause of that fire is under investigation. There are no reports of any damage. As fire weather continues, tens of thousands of San Diegans are without power. SDG&E has expanded its public safety power shutoffs, which now include more inland areas such as Alpine, Lakeside, and Poway. SDG&E says the potential for more shutoffs lasts through Friday afternoon. Turning now to an update on the fires burning in Los Angeles County. Firefighters continue to make progress. The Palisades fire is now at least 63% contained. The Eden fire is now at least 89% contained. The area is preparing for rain this weekend, which poses another risk depending how much rainfall they get.
Burn scars don't absorb water at a normal rate. They simply add to the risk of floods, landslides, and debris flow.
Today, the mayor of LA issued an executive order to shore up burn areas and stem the flow of toxic debris ahead of the possible rain. The mayor says this aims to prevent even more damage to areas already ravaged by fire and to protect the watershed, beaches, and ocean from toxic runoff. We want to remind you, ABC10 News, Scripps News, and the Scripps Howard Fund are teaming up to provide wildfire relief where it's needed most. You can donate by texting the word Scripps to 50155 or scan the QR code on your screen. Remember, every dollar you give goes directly to nonprofits helping those impacted by these devastating LA fires. You can also find this information on the homepage of our website, 10news.com.